Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Matt Johnson. We are back with another episode of Real Estate Uncensored. This is the place where you get actionable ideas, insight, and inspiration to turn your real estate career into a life of freedom. We've got an amazing guest here today. We're talking about No Lead Left Behind, which sounds like an awful, awful government program, but it's really much, much better than that. It is not a program where the government calls your leads for you, because even if they did, they would do a horrible, horrible job of it. There would be leads scattered all over the floor. They would all be left behind, and the whole program would be discontinued by another president in 10 years. So all that being said, we're going to have a lot of fun today because we've got a great guest. But first, let me welcome in my esteemed colleague and partner in all crimes real estate related, the junior grandmaster himself in the co-pilot seat. Your introduction seems to be getting longer and longer.
I know, I like this. This is a good thing, Matt. Longer introduction means more importance. So I got to come up with a really long one for you. I just don't know how I'm going to do that because you always have to take control and run the beginning of the podcast. But if you ever let me do it, maybe I could stroke your ego too. But we're just going to leave that there. Anyways, I'm glad to be back here in the office. My 14-day near-death experience has now hopefully come to a shocking end, and I can actually be a functional human being. I'm sitting here talking with Midori, who you can see right up my shoulder right there. And she and I see the wave. She and I were talking about goal setting and everything else for 2017 and kind of where we want to go, where she wants to go. And I'm talking with her about Jack Canfield. He's the author of, one of the authors of the Chicken Soup for the Soul guys. He has a book called The Success Principles. And I was talking to her about how to set her goals at certain levels. And we were breaking through, just like in Carol Dweck, she talks about in her book called Mindset, talks about a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. And we found that she has a lot of fixed mindsets, like me. And I said, look, Midori, and everyone that you guys are out there, if you have a $10,000 problem, a $100,000 problem, or $1 million problem, if you give your mind that level of a problem to solve, they will solve to that level and no more. So where do you want to be in 2017? And I thought it was really interesting because we sat down, and I know this is long, but you need to pay attention to this, especially you, okay? But we sat down and we did a power pose. We did the boss. You put your hands behind your head, put your feet up on your desk. We sat there for 3 minutes. And she had gone through her calls. She did 193 phone calls earlier today, only had a 3% connection rate, getting her ass handed to her, one up one side and right down the other, right? First call after doing the power pose, boom, seller lead. The guy's talking about his parents, and they're very interested in selling next year. I'm like, you want to do a power pose next time you do calls? She's like, yes. So I just on all that being said, guys, I want you guys to be in the right state of mind for 2017 as we near it, because we only have about 2 or 3 more weeks left here in 2016. So I'm going to shut up. It's enough of my voice. Matt, let's get back to you.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's bring in our special guest. There'll be enough of me too. So before we get too far, Jesse Pacifume. Did I get that right?
You nailed it. Good work.
Awesome. Jesse, how's it going, man?
Life is perfect. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
We're excited. So refresh, first of all, from my own memory, you're not in the Bay Area. You're up in, but you're somewhere on the Northwest coast, right?
Yeah, I'm right in between Sacramento and Tahoe. So close enough to the airport, close enough to the snow that I can catch my powder days and still fly out when I need to.
So awesome. Where are you right now?
Auburn.
You're in Auburn?
Yep.
Freaking love Auburn, man. That is one beautiful, beautiful, beautiful city. Come under the train trestle, as you pull in, you're going uphill. Oh, I know Auburn very, very well. You're right next to Cool, aren't you?
Yep, we are, in fact. Yep.
Cool's upgraded themselves to not just a one stop sign city. They are a one stoplight city. I understand now.
They have a stoplight. It was a big deal around here when they ended up with their stoplight. So yeah, I have a place in San Francisco as well. I spend about a third of my time there. So it's a nice juxtaposition between the city and hanging out and the vibration there and then being in the foothills.
Yeah, man, it's a gorgeous territory up there, especially during the summer. You got a lot of the rivers over there. You can jump and do some camping on the rivers. It's one of my favorite. Actually, it's one of my favorite cities in the foothills. So
yeah, absolutely.
Good choice.
It should be. Thank
you. Greg is congratulating you on your life choices.
I like it. No, it's good. It's a good way to start this relationship.
Exactly. All right, Jesse. So for those that don't know you, what do you do, first of all, and then what do you? We'll get into the content there.
Sure. So I am a consultant, and I help loan officers and real estate agents digitize their business. We also just launched 2 weeks ago our mortgage company, NextView Loans. So I operate under the NextView Group umbrella with my consulting business, and then we're going full steam, 37 states with our mortgage company this year.
Wow, too bad you're not shooting too high. I mean, good Lord. Only that's like
only 37 states. That's right. You really want to shoot for all 70 states. I mean, let's get on the ball here.
70.
We're going, man. I turned 41 last year. It's time. So
dude, I just had my 38th birthday on Saturday. I know the feeling, dude. I know the
right?
feeling.
Each one you wake up just like, all right, let's get it on.
No, it's true. I mean, we have some great things coming for what Matt and I are doing in this coming year, and it's totally true. It's like, hey, enough messing around. Let's get down and make shit happen.
Let's do it. Yeah, we know what we know. So just in a little bit of background on me, started coming out of high school, thought I was going to be an engineer and a Division I wrestler, and that didn't work out, but I made really good money sweeping floors at a mortgage company. So ended up in the brokerage business, fully self-sourced, working with real estate agents, building relationships. Decided the corporate thing was interesting to me, so did business development for the third largest mortgage broker in the country, put together big strategic real estate deals, and started, did a lot of recruiting and coaching, but it was all self-sourced. It was all relationship-based. I mean, this is kind of, mid-late 90s stuff, and we were all just out there shaking hands, part of the Chamber of Commerce and doing what we do to get business, knocking on doors. I had rollerblades. We would drop flyers. So I did that thing for a long time. And then made a move with some friends. I started a reverse mortgage company called Liberty Reverse Mortgage, and I ran wholesale and retail with that group and had a chance to engage the consumer at a consumer direct level. We were mailing out, 1 million flyers a month. Whoa, and it was all consumer direct, had a call center. It was intense and insane and a lot of fun. So that's where I went from this fully relationship-based experience to, hey, wait a second, we can use technology and actually communicate with people in an authentic way. I wonder if we could do this on the forward side too. So that company ended up being sold, and I moved on to a forward mortgage company and have been kind of testing this theory ever since of the digitized relationship-based, mortgage and real estate planner. And it's great. I had this unique experience where I had huge consumer direct, huge relationship base, and bringing those two things together, I think, is the future. And here we are.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. There's one thing I've always thought about, Jesse, and maybe you can help be the oracle that can answer this question for us. Why are more lenders not at real estate conventions, like in hordes, like travel there on buses?
Like a retirement community going to the grocery store.
Exactly.
But that's a strange question. I don't know. I've been at Inman Connect the last 3 or 4 years, and I've wondered that same thing. I'm like, this is the place to be. Where is everybody? Now, we mortgage brokers, mortgage bankers, we get stuck in our own head. We get stuck in our own way. I mean, we're coming up on the end of the month here. Everyone's busy taking phone calls, and they don't think often enough about getting out and building relationships outside the box. So.
Yeah, I really wish they would. I mean, if you could put that partnership together, bring the lenders and buyers together. I mean, you guys go throw big events in the afternoons and evenings at these big conferences for real estate agents, digitize it and invite them to it. And then, we're real estate agents, dude. We drink for a living. I mean, you give us free food and free booze, we're going to be showing up.
Keep your eyes open. You'll see a next U-Loans party.
Okay, good.
Inman Connect 2017. I'll see you there.
Yeah, exactly. There was a couple of things that caught my eye real quick that I wanted to get to, and then we'll get into to grilling Jesse on how to actually digitize your personal relationships and business relationships. But there was a cool success story here on the group that caught my eye. This is from the Lead Gen Scripts and Objections Facebook group. It's Justin Bigelow. So it says, success story using ZBuyer and Realtor.com in combination with hard work. I have listed my first 2 homes ever within 5 days of each other. One was Monday, one was Friday. Not trying to boast, but letting this diehard group know that it is possible to get what you want through hard work and determination. Thanks, Greg McDaniel and Aaron Wittenstein, for being the leaders that you are. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it is awesome. I'm glad you put the work in. I mean, a lot of people don't put the work in, and then they don't understand why the business doesn't work. It's because it's hard work. It plays a role in everything that's going to be coming to you in life. If it's going to be good, it's not going to be easy. So I'm glad that he put it out there. Knuckles to you, my friend. Keep it up.
Awesome. And then there was a little objection handler here that I thought I might throw out at you, Greg. So Tabitha Thompson says, can I get the best objection handlers for if I sell, where do I go? Or if I sell in this market, I have to buy in this market. So I'm sure you run across that from time to time. What say you to that, Greg?
Matt, I say, is why do we always go back to like kings and queens era? What say you, good sir?
That's
I don't know why I just had an accent all of a sudden.
But anyways, good morrow to you.
Good morrow. Anyways, so what I would say is that there's a script that my father taught me a long time ago. And it's a 2 elevator script. And what you say is like, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, when you're 3 obese little wood denting babies, you little bastards. So when you guys bought your home, let's say you bought it for $200,000 and you've ridden it up in equity growth for the last 15, we'll say 18 years, right? So you have a nice equity bubble with that's in there. Now, what you need to do is that eventually at some point, you're going to need to get off of that elevator, going to move over to the next door elevator, which is going to take you up to the additional levels. Now, it really depends on what their motivation is, because you can never push a seller out of the house. You can draw a seller out. So you have to get into the weeds, really get down to their level and understand why are they really having this cursory conversation with you? What's their want, need, or desire to make that move? Is it a want or is it a need? If it's a want, then operate out of being a consultant and advise them what you would want to have someone tell your brother or sister. If they're going to be buying or selling. If it's a need, then come up with a strategy to get them to that next stage of life, depending on what that capital is going to look like to get to that next stage. So it really comes down to just being a student of your industry and be a student of your clients. The true salesperson is going to ask more questions than they will talk. And so you need to ask. Howard Britton, who used to lead Star Power, actually had a great thing called going 3 deep. So, Matt, you would say, well, I'm thinking about selling. I say, great. Now to ask 3 additional follow-up questions or 5 additional follow-up questions, so that once by the third or the 5th question you have on top, behind that, you're going to get to the root cause of what's really going on. And then you can make a decision as a team to move forward. Because no matter what, you want to make sure that you bring value to your clients or your prospects, because if you push them out of a house when it was an unnecessary move, it wasn't in their best interest, then that's how you will be remembered. That's how our industry will be tainted. The vicious cycle of a real estate agent's reputation is going to continue to go round and round and round. That we're blood-sucking vampires out there just trying to take and not give. So
broker of the year, Whit Prouty, in his golden tan blazer.
I almost wore my gold blazer today, by the way.
I know. It's so disappointing. I really wanted to mock you for that, but that's a good it's a good segue over to what Jesse is going to share, because the very first commandment in your 7 commandments of digitization is all about value, and clearly defining the value that you add. And Greg makes a great point, because it really comes down to that. It comes down to asking great questions and being of genuine value to them in the relationship. That's the only way to start off a relationship.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think that the 3 whys is a good question, a good line of question that we coach to on a daily basis. I listen to hundreds of calls during the week, and boy, most of the sales problems could be solved by just asking that next question. It's amazing how few people actually get into it. So yeah, the value you bring to the table is it's incredibly important, and it has to be aligned with what your customer needs, right? What your client needs. And that's, Greg, I think your point. If you can't push somebody out of a house. I mean, you certainly can. You're a darn good salesman. You've been doing it forever. So you could probably push somebody out if you wanted to, but it's not in their best interest. So it doesn't work.
Yeah. It's not going to then go back to the whole cycle of a real estate agent's reputation as a whole. Why are we always the dipshits and the assholes in the movies and TV shows? It's because everyone perceives us as being this pushy car salesman that sells houses instead of cars. But if you can bring value to them versus, take advantage of them, because they are vulnerable. I mean, dude, last time I bought a car was, except for my car I bought last summer, it had been like 10, 12 years. I didn't know the process. This guy could have taken me to the woodshed, right? But I trusted him, and I was vulnerable to him, and he took very good care of me. So that's what we need to treat our clients in return. I mean, I always have a win-win solution for them.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so let's get into the digitizing part of it. So when you talk about taking, real life relationships and either leveraging yourself or just digitizing that relationship, what does that really mean? What does it look like in practical terms?
Yeah, so I get a lot of resistance when I talk about digitizing. I made a recruiting call the other day, and it was actually somebody that I knew, and said, hey, listen, it's time for us to talk about actually joining the team. And he goes, you know what, Jesse, here's the deal. I don't want to be the internet guy, so I'm not interested in digitizing. Thanks. And that was it. That was the end of our conversation. And I was like, oh, boy, I clearly have blown it with some of my messaging or my blog posts or something. So I had a little soul searching to do there. But, the reality is that digitizing allows us to scale our relationships, right? So we operate it still in a largely hyper-local environment. Even lenders, I mean, we have the Quicken Loans of the world, the Paramount Equities of the world. They're primarily doing refinance business, Greg, and you could probably speak to this better, but I don't know any real estate agents that that have integrity that are referring directly to a kid in Chicago who's working loan transactions to the end. So
yeah, I don't see that happening.
So it's largely you need somebody in market, right? So when you're in market and you're dealing on a transaction basis, it's difficult to scale. It's challenging, right? I mean, that's the challenge that all of us face, whether in mortgage or real estate. So what digitization allows you to do is it allows you to scale the quality of your relationship. And that's what I am preaching and talking about every single day is, hey, we aren't all going to convert completely to internet-based lead sources. This is not the anti-Brian Buffini platform. What I'm saying is, hey, listen, wouldn't it be better if your previous customers' birthdays popped up on your phone every single morning and you just called them? How much easier is that? So that's a great example of digitizing and scaling a relationship. On the other side, if you want to do more business, for a lot of people, you can hire more bodies, right? But then most of us are lousy managers. Greg, you know this from, operating. I mean,
Greg has no idea
I don't even know if management is. I mean, that's just like a word I grew up when I thought about it. I'd be spanked in my house. Horrible.
We don't do it, right?
I'm allergic to it.
So what we can manage is a little piece of technology, a little widget that helps us grow our business. And it also, the third component is it allows us to communicate with broader groups of individuals more consistently. I worked with a mortgage loan officer that generated a ton of leads, great personality. If something didn't happen with that lead in 60 days, she automatically marked it dead no matter where it was in the process, just because she didn't have the mind space to handle communicating with all these people, right? The list got too big. So digitization can help there too.
I completely agree. I mean, Beverly, who does a lot of the live lead gen on the lead gen scripts and objections page, that's what she talks about. She preaches that no lead is a dead lead. I mean, unless they tell you to go F off and, your mama's ugly and fat, okay, they're probably not going to be the right client for you. But, we move them through the process because if they're in one situation now, you never know where they're going to be down the road. And I've been totally guilty of it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've gotten rid of clients, which I probably shouldn't have. And I've been learning from people like you, Jesse, and people like Beverly, that every person in that pipeline is worth a lot of value. Maybe not today, but it could be tomorrow.
Absolutely. So what happens to many of us is that we go and we make a play at Zillow, or we have a large group of referrals that are coming into our sphere. We only have enough mind space for this many leads, right? To deal with this many relationships, this many conversations. So the easy stuff flows to the top, the urgent stuff flows to the top, and the next thing you know, you're leaving behind potentially hundreds of leads. So with a no lead left behind platform, all I'm saying is account for every single name, unless they tell you to F off, right? Then we move on.
Then we F off.
We F off. We honor their request with integrity. So, so the point is you never leave anything behind. You can drip on them. That's where the technology and the digitization comes in, creating multi-channel customer journeys. There's different levels of that, but being able to just drip email even onto every single lead that you've generated over the period of a year can potentially double your business. And those are the kind of results we see on a regular basis in the mortgage loan officer space and the real estate agent space.
What's some of the stuff? Are you doing more conventional drips, or are you kind of doing out of the box drips like the site called Happy Grasshopper? I mean, they do a once a month email, which I'm sure you're aware of them, and it has zero to do with business or real estate or anything else. It's written by humans for humans. You pick one, you send it out, and it gets conversations started. Do you do like an 80-20 blend, 80-15 blend? I mean, how do you handle that?
Early on, so we have basically a 2-month cycle. And we just provide information. Then the call to action is always get our free report or get some piece of information. So we're very specific around, hey, the reasons you should be buying this fall, the 10 mistakes people are making. It's very educational based. And we tell people, hey, you don't even need to, don't worry about calling me back. Just read the emails if that's easier for you. So the first 2 months is that stuff. And then we avoid recipes and craziness. I help each individual loan officer kind of mail something out so to your point, non-mortgage, non-real estate specific, but I like people to be a little bit irreverent, right? Have some fun. So we tell a lot of stories, and this is the core from the guys at Summit Funding in the core group, and they do an evidence of success and letter from the heart. So I love that strategy where we just have folks just write letters and say, hey, listen, here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm up to in my personal life. Don't forget to check out my Facebook page. Boom. Now we've got a like on a Facebook page, and then we can go, 10 to 1, happy, warm, fuzzy stuff, and then real estate information.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. The more they can be relatable with you. I mean, Matt taught me that lesson about a year and a half, 2 years ago when he and I started doing the podcast. I'm like, oh, we got to do all this marketing. We got to advertise everywhere. We got to do this. We got to do that. And he's like, dude, I do not want to be advertised to. Neither does anybody else. But I will hear a good story, and I will follow something that's emotionally charged and balanced. And I started learning that, and I started looking to where my mind goes for that. And I think then I would find more value in you, Jesse, as the mortgage broker. That I go, oh my God, dude, Jesse goes through just the same thing as I go through. Oh, okay. Now I've humanized him. We've humanized yourself to me, and now you're relatable. Therefore, I trust you. Therefore, move forward. I mean, it's a longer tail play, but it's an incredibly effective play.
Yeah, we call that.
That's the thing about like Facebook ads and stuff like that. I was on another like live webinar today. We were talking about that, and it reminded me of what there's some teams that have done some really, really, really good and really in-depth tracking and found the lead time on your average Facebook, like a buyer lead that they pull off of Facebook, is 12 to 18 months. So it's not that the leads are bad, they're just further up the funnel than we prefer. But that's life now. It's as we've made it easier for people to express interest, they express interest earlier in the process. That's natural. That's what happens. So we've created this world for ourselves with the Zillows and Realtor.coms and of the world. But anyway,
Matt, that tees into what we're talking about. I mean, obviously, perfectly. But what I see happening, and I'm going to play Oracle for a minute, and I always get this wrong, but what I see happening is,
You're playing Oracle, but you get it wrong. It's funny.
Yeah, I know. Oops. Folks like yourself and Greg and individuals that are having this conversation on a daily basis are ultimately going to win, because those 12 to 18 month tails, that's where the magic really happens. That's where the connection is made. And those have been largely ignored in our industry up until this point. I mean, literally this moment right here, where somebody is actually tracking 18 months worth of Facebook ads. So my view is, if you want to be a relevant loan officer or real estate agent going forward, you have to get onto that 18-month cycle, and you have to figure out how to manage it. And it's complicated. It's complicated, but it's very doable.
It is really doable. Actually, last week when I was laying in bed half dead, I get a call from a guy named Joshua Smith, and he is someone that I spoke to. I think it was something like 24 months ago or something like that. And I'd put him into the funnel and the feed for viral marketing emails that we send out, and the other stuff that we send out too. But he called me up and was like, hey, Greg, and I have no idea who this guy is. Okay, let's just be real clear about this. But he goes, hey, Greg, it's been a long time. I'm like, yeah, no shit. I have no clue who you are. But he's like, hey, I want you to come on out. I have a CMA set for this coming Friday at 12:30. Going to go talk to him about the value of his home. And then he wants me to help him buy him another home, probably $600,000 to $1 million closer in. But it's because I maintained that relationship and I didn't throw him away, because he wasn't, as Mike Ferry teaches, if he wasn't going to do something in the next 1 to 3 months, he was a worthless lead. Well, it's going to turn into $1.5 million, value of volume for just sending out that guy an email twice a month.
Yeah.
So, I mean, long tail plays will really, really, really work for you. But if you have commission breath and commission minded, and you have to make that car payment or that house payment or the tuition payment, whatever it is, and you freak out, that's where you're going to miss a lot of the long-term business, and you won't be sustainable as the years go on, because you're only thinking about the now business, not the tomorrow business.
That's it. The other little thing that I've done, and I can't remember who told me to do this. I'd give him credit. But anyway, so business personal Facebook pages are all very separate, friends only, private Facebook page. I've got all that thing figured out. I've got a business page, mostly business, fairly boring. I set up an Instagram account a couple of years ago, and I recently, about 6 months ago, made it public and just put personal stuff on there. And it's part of the digital handshake process where, we can accelerate these tails and build credibility. Greg, same exact experience you had. I've had it several times. Hey, how are Olivia and Carson, my daughter and son? I have no idea who this person is, but it's great. So I can riff on what they're doing and talk about it, and just say, hey, I saw you riding your mountain bike the other day. It's really phenomenal. So it's kind of a low impact. It doesn't do all this geotagging. It's less invasive than Facebook, but a good Instagram page where you just put personal stuff is a pretty cool way for people to get to know you once they're getting your emails, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So that's been phenomenal. So
I have a friend of mine, Stevie, in Florida, and I have a friend of mine, Sarah, in Canada. Both very, two very attractive young ladies, but both of them have incredibly unique personalities, and both of them get a ton of interaction on their Instagram. Unfortunately, I'm a dude, so I don't get that much interaction. I get like 35 views. And I'm like, yes. And they get like 1,200, and they're like, oh, it's a low day. I'm like, son of a bitch.
I'm with you. All right.
But it's so true that that digital handshake does take place. And if Bob's listening on Instagram, Phil's listening on Snapchat, Mike's listening on Facebook, and Sarah is listening on Twitter, you need to be able to have that handshake and talk across all different platforms, right?
You got it. And it blows my mind. The number one thing that I talk to people about related to digitization is use a similar or the same headshot. So I don't want to see a picture of you 24 years ago on your LinkedIn profile, and then your Instagram headshot is like you really too drunk, and then your Facebook professional page is some horrific Sears portrait studio thing. There's no
glamour shots.
There's no brand consistency. Yeah, and we're all building personal brands, right? So I think if you can just make these things look and feel the same, and then the descriptions, the descriptions are all over the board. So if you can bring those things together, you pop a lead off of Zillow, send them an email. They go, they put your name into Google. If they can have a consistent experience right there, you've begun the process of building trust. And it's not easy, but it's complicated, right? To pull those things together. And
it is. I completely agree with you. And those of you that are watching this, you guys see this. This is my photo that I use. I'm the infant in the photo on this side over here. And I make fun of myself because people are always like, Greg, that doesn't even look anything like you. I'm like, I know, my team won't make a change because Chris and my father, Terry, and the other two guys, they're like freaking Ken dolls, dude. They don't change. Bastards. And I'm the only one that's really changed. And I laugh at myself. So if you guys haven't updated, and Jesse, just to counter this with me, let's banter on this a little bit. Let's say you can't or won't, or you're a part of a team or whatever the scenario is, and you can't change your headshot even though you've changed, laugh about it. Pick on yourself a little bit about it. But then obviously quickly change it as quickly as possible. The consistency is very, very true. Maybe it's a color that can be consistent if the photo can't be. Or maybe a message or a tagline or something along those lines.
Yeah, when we go into the digitization process, what we do is we create a short 140 character tagline, and we create a longer tagline. So if you look at, Twitter, Instagram, you look at all these platforms, they generally have either 140, 170 character limit tag, and then a place where you can put a longer description. When those things match, your conversion will go up. Mm-hmm. Right. Absolutely. And you can definitely add a different flavor to each platform depending on, the audience. LinkedIn, obviously, be way more professional. No bikini shots. But,
damn it.
People don't like that. I know. It makes you sad, Greg. But
so I'm the only one that get calls out on that. Thank you.
I do. You deserve it, right? I've watched several of these things, but I think you deserve it. I like it.
Man.
So, yeah, the other thing is, with social media and content being consumed just so quickly, we don't need professional everything all the time, right? Mm-hmm. And so, it's okay to throw a good iPhone selfie up on some of these platforms and make that the thing that changes every 6 months, right? So don't get so obsessed with going out for pro photo shoots that you miss an opportunity to be authentic.
Right. I mean, like we're doing live video right now. This is just Matt and I, it's our preferred platform. This is very unedited, very raw, me just being me, and most people are cringing like Matt does every time I open my mouth, fearing the worst is going to come out of it. Usually it does. But you know what? People start bonding with that personality. So go be yourself on the different platforms, but speak appropriately on each platform. But don't hide it. Nobody wants the glamour shot ding off my tooth photo anymore, okay? That fucking sucks. They want to see you being you. So if I had a profile on my Facebook page of me out with my buddy and we're just like drinking beer, which was like one beer. But, then I changed it up to a professionally done photo. Then I changed it up to a couple of ones that were just shot, off the cuff. Now I got more response from the ones shot off the cuff because it was more real.
Yep.
Yeah.
We need to teach Matt that.
Every single profile photo I've had this year has all been off the cuff, taken by somebody else while I was doing something. Anyway, okay, so let's get into the third commandment, the build a volume knob on your lead platform. So Jesse, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, it's challenging to Give me a second. Relationship-based mortgage planners and real estate agents have been incredibly reluctant to adopt the portal business specifically. Or, Greg, it sounds like you have a team that's out dialing. It is interesting the level of resistance I get from the Brian Buffini crowd, which is great. And I've done my time at all these referral only events, but you don't have to be in a relationship only bucket or a digital online bucket or a cold dialing bucket. What I'm saying is, hey, listen, everybody needs a volume knob, and it takes a little bit of energy to set it up. So if you don't have an effective Zillow account that's fully set up and dialed in with a ton of reviews, and you don't have a realtor.com account set up and dialed in with a ton of views, do that now. Because by the time you need it, it's going to be too late.
Yep.
So in my business on the mortgage side, right, rates just ticked up 0.75 of a point. Everyone signed up for Zillow in the last 3 weeks looking for purchase leads. Well, guess what? Now there's a 27-person wait list for Zillow long form in Placer County, and they missed the moment. So that's my point, is you've got to be able to say, hey, listen, I'm a relationship-based individual. I generate referrals, and it looks like mid-month I'm down on referrals. I need to drive some leads so that my spring is strong, and this is how I'm going to do it. And so that's the volume knob component. The other thing is we need to partner up more on this stuff related to volume knobs. When real estate agents and loan officers are working together, there's a new opportunity in this market with digitization where we can be more strategic, right? So if I have a good lead conversion funnel for purchase leads, I go out, talk to my real estate agents, say, listen, do Zillow, split the cost with you. We'll put it into my funnel. I'm converting at 10, 12%. You're converting at 2%. I can help you make more money. Okay. And so that's another example. When you have a competency around converting portal business to closed business, portal leads to closed business, that competency translates. I know I'm a little bit too Italian sometimes in my live videos.
No, I'm just like, I'm following your mindset. I see where you're going. Okay, good. Yeah. No, that's just is totally true. I mean, I partner with an ISA team called Talent Prospecting, actually just south of you in SAC with my boy Phil. And my lender is paying half of the cost on that for me. Because he's, and that's what, that's how we work out of the box on that instead of, leads or appointments they set up for us, which is, something that we both find the value because we don't want, if you can cut out that middleman and having to, build that relationship, but you can actually just get the appointment set. That would be value add. That would be coming together and working out of the box like you're talking about, right? Like making it's a pay to play the game. It's pay to play, in today's day and age.
It is pay to play, but you need to bring some value to the table and you need to have some competency. And that's the key. So Greg, you're in a unique position where you say, hey, listen, you can pay to play on my platform. Most of the people on the call, I think, are wondering, okay, how do I either build my own platform or find a platform to associate with so I can do that too, And they can join I'm sure they can join your real estate platform, or they can find a lender that has some competence around this and create a genuine partnership. That's certainly an option, and it's interesting because the real estate agents are the ones that are generally generating leads historically in our business, but the lender is the one that has the technology competence. We've been forced into it with all of the regulations and everything that we have to do on a daily basis. We already have CRMs set up. We know everything there is to know about each client, and we have missed the mark. We've absolutely missed the mark in leveraging that technology skill set towards helping our real estate partners convert. So that's the next phase of this market, in my view.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting because mortgage companies also have the money to invest in experimenting to find out what works. So there's a guy out of Florida you may have heard of. Have you heard of RP Funding?
Yep.
Yeah. So Robert Palmer was that same way. So he gets started, figures out, wow, these realtors are horrible at generating buyer leads. I'll figure out how to do it for them, and then I'll send them the business their way, and then they will use me because I generated the leads. Now he teaches agents and obviously mortgage lenders how to generate their own leads because he actually had to go out and master what the agents should have been doing himself. And I think that's where we've kind of put the mortgage field into that position of having to figure it out because agents are so bad at generating leads. But I do like the emphasis on the digital handshake, which I love. That's just that phrase, that concept is fantastic. So when you meet someone in person, or if you're developing a relationship, you combine and you blend the high tech and high touch to make sure that the relationship exists on both platforms, in real life and in online life. And then that way you can start to leverage yourself with systems and with technology and with things like that to make the process of building relationship easier, because it's going to take longer. And we have really bad memories. Computers have really good memories. So let's use them for what they're good at, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like I always talk about the funnels of business or leads that come your direction. You can't just have one. You can't just have your referrals or just your online or just your past clients or anything like that. You have to have multiple different, I call them pillars, of lead generation sources, because you never know where that next lead's going to be coming from, and you're not just one-sided. There's multiple different sides to you, so leverage that to your benefit. Just like a bad example, but I'm going to go with it anyways. And you have two legs. Most people have two legs, right? If you got one leg, it's a little bit more difficult to get around, but if you have at least two, you can move forward in a faster motion. So the same thing. Maybe take online and high tech and high touch and put them together. You can do digital with Jesse, but then go out to the network meetings or go out and go hand out 25 business cards every single day to 25 different people and watch your business grow on both sides. That's all I'm saying. Don't, because you're talking about doing that, the same thing, but then putting everything back into the digital end as a drip follow-up funnels, right?
Yeah. So here's the deal. We tell people they need three pillars of business, right? I've been telling people that forever. But the challenge is, if you don't track and you don't have a single location, I know it sounds really simplistic, but if you don't have a single location for all your leads and you can't tell me where they came from, it's just lip service, right? Mm-hmm. And so this no lead left behind, kind of looping all the way back around, no lead left behind, whether you're a journeyman, a pro, or a ninja. The ninja is a full Salesforce.com implementation, but the journeyman is just a Google sheet. I'm surprised how many people have a Boomtown account and they have these 3 or 4 different things they're working on, and they have to log out, log back in, or have 16 browser windows open, and they don't have everything in one single place. The amount of energy it takes to put everything into just a Google sheet is minuscule relative to the return. So yeah, Greg, absolutely. You have to have multiple pillars. That is without question. What do you do with that once it comes in? And that's where we're seeing a lot of lift in both real estate and mortgage, just doing some tracking and using a single system.
Oh, I was going to say run away screaming into the night because you're terrified that the lead's going to actually call you back and you're going to get business from talking to another human. That's where I was going with that. But I think I like your idea better, way better.
I wasn't going to go all the way back to the point where you actually have to pick up the phone.
No, don't you tell me I have to work. Don't you take that back. Take that back, Jesse.
Digitizing the relationship means I don't ever have to talk to anybody, right? They just work their way down the funnel and they buy a house and they show them the house themselves, and I don't actually have to talk to them.
We have got to tell that story about that lady that wanted her leads. Remember that when we were in New York? Remember she just wanted a certain type of lead set up for her?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. So what was it? Were you and I in the airport or something like that? Where I was just scrolling through my phone, chuckling at this this question that came up in one of the Facebook groups we're all a part of. She was saying something to the effect of, how do I find internet leads that want to buy within 3 months? Because I don't have time to nurture them. I need leads that are ready to do something right now. And she got, which I didn't have to smack her down. It was just funny. It struck me as funny. So I told Greg, and he had a good hearty laugh in the middle of the airport, if I remember right. But it was one of those things where like there was a whole slew of comments of people just verbally bitch slapping her, essentially saying, yeah, if we knew how to do that, either it'd be secret or be extremely expensive. Those are the only two alternatives.
But if you want
no secret.
If we want a huge list of people that want to buy right now, one of the comments was, "I see a apron in your future, aka go get a waitress job."
Yeah, and because that's the only place where you can just go and get a list of people who are ready to buy right now.
I've become fond of telling people that, hey, the day this is easy, or the day I can convert a lead to a buyer with just my digital handshake, is the day that our margins go to zero. So
yes, that's exactly true.
Let's not accelerate that process, huh?
Well, fortunately, human nature will prevent that from happening.
Yes,
I think.
Totally, it will.
But
that's what we're talking about, right?
The crux in all this is that it's not especially if you add in like the digital scale and leverage and things like that, it's not that it's hard. There's no real individual element of following up over the long term that's necessarily difficult. It's that we psych ourselves out on a couple of things. Number one, how do we remind ourselves of who to call and when? And like you said, that can be as easy as a Google sheet. I mean, Michael Mayer did it for years on a Google calendar. Jeff Cohn did it for 6 years on a Google on an Excel spreadsheet. He didn't even have Google Sheets. He had an Excel.
Imagine that.
Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. Can you imagine?
I couldn't. I can't live in a world without Google Sheets, Matt.
Anyway, so we psych ourselves out on who do we call and when, which is really easy to track. It's not that hard. We also psych ourselves out on the what do we say when we follow up. And that's one of the biggest revelations that I've had just interviewing some of the top people and guys like Greg and guys like Aaron Wittenstein, is that there is no big secret. There is no magic words. We just have to not psych ourselves out about following up and just be okay with the fact that we're showing up and providing value, because in the moment they will say something, and number one, just our expression of interest in them is value. But also, if they do genuinely need something, we are a professional, we are a consultant, we have relationships with many other professionals and consultants, and probably somewhere in that conversation, they're going to reveal some sort of need. Either it's a question they need answered, or with a referral that they need to somebody that can help them out in this moment if you can't help them out yourselves. And just, I think agents getting that mentality of I can be genuinely helpful takes a lot of the pain out of following up over those long cycles. As long as you have the business coming in that's now business, or business you've worked on last year or the year before that, and you're not starving, like that's the hard part. Everybody wants the now business because they weren't doing stuff last year to generate the business they need today.
The people that you're talking to today are going to be the people you'll be doing business with tomorrow. Okay, there's only about 3% of the people you're speaking with. You know, they're only 3% of the people you're going to be talking with are going to be doing something now. 97% chance of failing right out of the gate looking for business right now. It's a pretty high percentage. But now, not if you have a long-term funnel that Jesse's talking about, we're talking about. But just knowing that and expecting that outcome should help your mental mindset going into prospecting. You know, because what you think about is what you're going to get, right? And so if people can stop thinking about, oh my God, I didn't get a lead today. Well, who gives a fuck? You got an email and you're working on it for the next year. That's a win, okay? But you have to start looking at it in that context. So that's all I have to say, is that, you know, start wrapping your head around it properly, and don't beat yourself up for the things that you feel that you should have done because some guru told you have to get a lead a day. Getting a lead a day is very possible. I mean, it's on averages that you'll get it. So you might go 1, 2, 3, 5 days without getting a lead, but then you'll get 7 leads in 2 days. Just because that's the way it adds up. And if you can just think about it and be excited about that and move forward with it, you're good to go. I think we just lose Jesse.
Yeah, for a second. I think he's hopping back on.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's absolutely true. I mean, I think we make it harder on ourselves, and we psych ourselves out in the sense that we're so busy looking for the deal right now that we don't realize that's, if you go in expecting that, then yes, you're going to fail, because that doesn't exist for the most part. No. That's the gravy, right? So I think we need to take pride in the daily activities that build our business and understand that it will pay off in the long run, but we don't know exactly when that's going to be. And if we happen to get one of those, which like I got today, somebody called up and basically said, "Hey, I want to work with you."
Well, they're crazy.
Great. Well, yeah, clearly. Anyway, thanks, Greg. But I mean, those are great when you get them. This is not somebody that I reached out to directly. They weren't even in my pipeline. They weren't on my radar at all. Somebody that's just been listening to the podcast, and that they've like built up a relationship with me by listening to us, Greg. So that's awesome. So I mean, those types of deals are great when they come in, but that's what everybody's looking for when they should be looking for the meat and potatoes. What's the deal 6 months from now, a year from now? The problem is just getting them to that point where they can have that long-term view. Because Jesse, that's really what it takes. I mean, we're really talking about like marketing, the way that things are going right now. Everything is getting these additional steps added to it, and just the funnels are getting longer, and people are struggling with that.
Yeah, and I think, excuse me for bailing out. I had got a little bit of that Greg thing going
on. Ugh, that's not good.
Good thing you can't catch it through the camera.
Matt accused me of getting him sick on last show.
Oh, boy.
I did.
and so Matt, the point that I like to make on this is that when you build this pipeline, eventually you can predict how much business you're going to get out of it, right?
Yeah.
So if you're a real estate agent and you have a pipeline of 300 long-term leads that you're following up on, and you're making X number of dials, you're sending text messages, you're dialing it in, you can actually predict 1 or 2 deals a month. So it doesn't have to be a big black box or black hole. It is for a while. It is for your first 12 months. But then after that, you can say, listen, I have 300 long-term leads. It generates 2 transactions a month. Now I know the value of my funnel, right?
Your time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
And you can break it down to what you need to do on a daily basis to get to your end goal. I was just going over this with Midori today, talking about how to break it down to what she needed to do. We figured out that she only needs to do 20 deals at $500,000 to make $125,000 net in 2017. And I was just like, it's not that hard. We know exactly what you need to do on a daily basis. Make 250 phone calls a day, or hand out, a couple of business cards, and you'll get to that goal sooner than later. But people look at, like you said, Jesse, as this huge monumental task. I have to climb Everest. I have to eat an entire elephant. Well, climbing Everest is one step at a time. Eating an elephant is one bite at a time. But breaking it down never is not scary anymore. And I think that it was very helpful for me in transforming my personal business when I started doing that. Oh, shit. Dropping the mic. Sorry, hitting the mic. It was like,
I don't know that was a great mic drop moment, Greg. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, you said
it was okay. I mean, not all the way.
That good. It wasn't like Eminem at the end of his first free flow session or something. I mean, come on now.
All right, Wigger, let's move forward. Come on. I know you got skills around.
All right. So Jesse, tell me about the relationship between tracking your prospecting activity, your relationship building activity, and your conversion rate, because that to me is really, really interesting.
Yeah. So when you actually track and you're watching these things on a daily basis, again, you understand what the results are. So to Greg's point, now you can business plan. I don't know how anybody writes a business plan without knowing their conversion rate. I don't know how anybody knows their conversion rate without a daily tracking discipline. And so it's impossible. People throw numbers at me all the time, and I'm like, great, show me. And they often fail to be able to, right? They're like, oh, well, I have stuff all over the place. It comes to about a 6% conversion.
About?
When you track, yeah, that's not helpful. When you track, you can predict, right? When you track, you can communicate. When you track, you can predict. When you predict, you can invest. So folks that scale their business are simply, they're either really brave or they have the information that they need in order to make a big investment, right? Whether it's in like an MSA, some sort of relationship with a builder, a developer, HR platforms. I mean, there's 100 ways to invest. It's not just buying leads. But that's Matt, to me, that's the relationship. Once you track, once you can invest and you can scale your business in a meaningful way.
That's one of the best things I've heard in a while on that topic. I was just talking about this with a guy I'm bringing on the show, Greg. I haven't told you this, but I'm bringing on Pasquale Scopaliti, who I've interviewed on Pursuing Results before. He is a extremely high level recruiting coach. His specialty is teaching people how to track and adjust and analyze their performance based on the numbers they've tracked and adjust on the fly to get better performance and better sales metrics. So he's coming from the recruiting angle, but recruiting is all about picking up the phone and making contacts. It's exactly the same thing as real estate, right? So it's all the same principles. So we're talking about that today. He's going to come on with, we've got Aaron Wittenstein on the show on Friday, and we're bringing him onto the show with him. We're going to talk about this stuff. But anyway, his point was very similar, which is that it's all about, it's those ratios, right? So you don't have any idea what your ratio is unless you count the front side and the back side. How many attempts, how many connections, right? And then how many of those connections turn into presentations, meetings, whatever you want to call them. You have to track a couple, at least 2 metrics to find out what your ratio is, and then you can work on the ratio. And Jesse, when you say once you can predict, then you can invest. And you mentioned that there's more than one way to invest, and that's absolutely true, because you can invest even if you're a relationship person. It's not about investing in the sense of, well, I'm going to go from being a relationship person to now I'm going to get Zillow, or now I'm going to get Boomtown. There's many other ways. You can invest in a client care coordinator. You can invest in handwritten notes. You can invest in bond. So it costs you, what was that, $2 for a kind of a handwritten note that's actually sent by a computer somewhere in who knows where. There's all kinds of other ways you can invest and stack and leverage your relationship building and make it more effective. You can go out and have somebody list build for you on LinkedIn and find more of your potential ideal clients, and then they can essentially hand you a list of strategic business partners and referral partners and other people that look just like your clients. Then you can reach out directly to them on LinkedIn, schedule a call, and prospect that way. So there's a lot of other ways to invest. If you are a relationship person, there's ways to scale and leverage yourself to make it better and easier to build more relationships outside of just, well, now I'm going to go and I'm going to pay for leads.
Right. I mean, the best thing to do is to on LinkedIn is you go build that list and then scrape the information. You can export the information out of LinkedIn incredibly easily. Take the email addresses attached to the people, upload them into Facebook, run Facebook ads directly to those email addresses. Now you have a targeted list that you can change up your ads, very, very much on the fly. Or just do something incredibly, different and actually do Facebook Lives, talk to specific friend lists that you build within Facebook and have a communication directly with them about a certain subject matter or comment on their status in a real-time format versus sending hey, it's time to set your clocks back. I mean, there's a lot of ways to time hack it. Use ifttt.com. Build different recipes to interact with your different social media platforms. If one action is taken, another action is done. So that you can time hack yourself there. I mean, there's just 100 different ways, thousands of different ways to do this. It really comes down to your personal, what you personally want to do and how you want to interact with these different parts of your life, digital and non-digital.
Very true.
And one of the great tools that I've discovered this year is Fiverr, Fiverr.
Oh, I love Fiverr.
It's great. And so in terms of scraping, in terms of quick graphic design work, creating HTML email templates, making Excel work with Google Sheets, all that stuff, you can find experts all over the world for somewhere between $5 to $15. They'll do it overnight. I have 10 or 15 jobs going at all times with Fiverr related to scrapes specifically, because it's just that much easier. I don't even want to export it from my LinkedIn. I give somebody my password, they take care of it for me. It's $8. It happens in 48 hours. It's perfect.
No, yeah. And you can go do what you need to do, actually being the human interacting with the people that know you, like you, and trust you, versus dicking around with the shit on the back end, which I know for me, I'm just not good at it. So like you, I've bought multiple different Facebook ads. They've done a tremendous job of pulling, respondents back in, but then I totally dropped the ball and I didn't follow up with them. So there's the list. That's the problem.
Hey, and so do we need to wrap up, Matt?
We do actually. So I wanted to make sure we get a chance for you to tell people where to connect with you before we wrap things up.
Yeah, check out my website. You can download the digitized MLO assessment, which is perfect for real estate agents as well. I'm actually keeping track. Once you finish the assessment, I'm collecting all the scores, and that is at Jesse Jesse Passafiume PASSAFIUME.com. If you just type Jesse Pass, Google knows me.
That's right. It's the advantage of having an extremely unique name.
That's it.
Yeah, Jesse Pass. There we go. Very cool. All right, and thanks so much for everybody that's watching. So I know I'm gonna not get everybody here, but Lena and Hank Avink, Stevie, Anthony, Nick, Lonnie, John Richmond, and Juan, Tim, Eric. Good Lord, guys. So thank you guys so much for watching live. We really appreciate it. We love the interaction. And Greg, are we doing a jump the line?
No, because I'm on the mend. I don't want to. I'm trying not to push myself right now, but I want to give a quick shout out to Brian. Brian, thank you for being a longtime listener of both the show and for watching me on Facebook Live, which, guys, I'm going to be doing at 4:30 today Pacific Standard. If you guys want to watch me do some lead gen calls, but thank you for the referral. I look forward to working with you on the sale of that home in Oakland. Alex, I look forward to talking tonight. Hopefully we'll be able to talk. I know I left a message for you. And then Philip over at Talon Prospecting, thank you for just being an absolute monster rock star. And just crushing it for our team. I appreciate you, your company. If you guys want a company that sets appointments for you, this is Talon Prospecting out of Sacramento. They set about 10 appointments a week for me, so about 40 a month. And we are very, very excited to be in partnership with them. And air quotes partnership, hiring someone to do a job for you. Yeah. But anyways, let's see here. Oh, and then quick little tech thing here, guys, for you. There is something called a skip trace. If you guys are not familiar with what a skip trace is, you can go to peoplefinder.com and they will help you do a skip trace. So if Matt was a past client of mine and his information was out of date, I could do a skip trace on Matt Johnson, and then it'll pull up his relatives, friends, or other people that are associated to him on different sites with their contact information. Then I can do a call to Jesse, who's been a buddy of Matt's forever, and I say, hey, Jesse, Greg McDaniel Real Estate Systems. Hey, I worked with Matt and his wife, Julie, about 2 years ago. I'm trying to reach out and update my info, trying to send them over some info. What's your best phone number, man? I think mine's totally out of date. Oh, yeah, man, totally, no problem. Here's his info. I don't know why I just made you sound like a surfer, but but I mean, you can do skip traces on people, and you can find out, you can update your information on that if you guys are kind of trying to build your list for this coming year. Just a little tech tip for you, kind of scary but kind of cool at the same time.
Yeah, I'm just envisioning Greg in like a mullet and all black, just chasing people down.
Oh yeah,
Dog bounty hunter style.
That's so weird. I see myself in a totally negative light now. Thank you, Matt.
That's right. That's right. All right, guys. And then Anthony says he's watching live. He says, found you guys 3 weeks ago when I got licensed. You guys are absolute gold. So that, first of all, that's awesome that you found us at the right time for you. So we appreciate you watching and listening. Let us know if there's any way we can help. If you have any questions you want us to cover on the show, we appreciate you watching. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, or Stitcher. And if you don't already have Greg's favorite scripts, first of all, slap yourself on the wrist. How dare you? Go to McDanielRealEstateSystems.com. It's right there. It's free. You can pop in your email and download it immediately. You do not even have to wait for an email. There is no autoresponder email. You can literally just download it right there. It's got some of his favorites for online buyer leads, seller lead follow-up, client management, all kinds of good stuff in there. Each one has a video link to where I actually took Greg through the script and had him like give the phrasing and the tonality so you can hear that. We also have our high-tech, high-touch real estate farming course, which takes you literally from start to finish, all the way from how to pick out your farm to how to use Zillow as a secret MLS and how to run events for your clients and in your farm area, all kinds of good stuff. That is 99 smackers. So very, very low price for 8.5 hours of video content. You would, if you were to do that on your own, you would have to fly to the East Bay. You have to sit Greg down, and you would have to squeeze his head like a ripe cantaloupe. And
don't give people ideas, Matt. This is gonna become very violent on me very quickly. They're just literally like putting my head in a vice. Like, hey, Matt said, if I squeeze your head, man, I'll be like, fuck off.
That's true.
Your speech.
Anyway, so go check out those two things, guys. We appreciate everyone joining us, watching us live. Greg, you got anything else?
Yeah, but Matt, that we may or may not be able to confirm that we will be launching a prospecting mastery program here very, very soon for January. So we will put the information in the link here pretty soon, guys. It will fill up. So if you guys want to get access and spend time, we'll put a link in here. You guys will see what will be covered. If you want to just take 2017 and make it your bitch.
I'm gonna make that the new headline for the landing page.
There it is.
2017, your bitch.
For bold letters.
I love it. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We are out of here. We will be back on Wednesday with a new episode. We've got an amazing episode on Friday with Aaron Wittenstein and Pasquale, the guy I mentioned. We're talking about lead generation, tracking, all that good stuff. So until then, we will see you soon.
Bye, guys. Love you.